masses of week.
Allow us to journey into these altered states.
It really whacked me psyche though, big time.
If you just sit reading books, it's the shadow because you're not going to be in your body.
Welcome to Creating Space, bringing people together. Real conversations with real people, telling stories and sharing our gifts right here in the heart of Liverpool, inspiring new ideas, education and co-creation.
Choose a challenge that lights you up and is going to make a difference in the world.
Creating Space.
Sponsored by the Scouts Guru app.
Welcome back. We're live. My name's Martin Bone, and this is Creating Space. This is episode 12. Today I've got a really great interview. I haven't done many interviews over the last few weeks with the nature of what's been unfolding in my life, but this has been an interview that that's been on my radar for quite some time. We've got a guy in the studio called Deaves, A.K.A. the Mind Shaman. And Kev's someone I've been watching from afar probably over the last 12 months, and I've now started to really become personal friends with this man. We've spent some time on Crosby Beach of late. We've broke some bread. We've had some food together, and then we were away last week. We went up to Bala Lake and did a little bit of wild camping. So it's awesome to have Kev here. So all systems good. It's bank holiday weekend. It's Friday morning. I'm feeling super psyched to have Kev in the studio and looking forward to diving into this. So hope you enjoy it. Be open-minded and put the kettle on, get yourself a cup of tea and chill out and relax and enjoy it. So Kev, what's happening? Welcome to the studio. Thanks for being here.
You all right, Matt?
Yeah.
Happy to be here, mate.
Yeah, man. Yeah. So it's bank holiday weekend. It's Friday morning.
Yeah.
And we just started having a little bit of a buzz there straight away. And I was gonna ask you, what did you have for your breakfast?
Porridge.
And is
that same like, every morning?
Yeah, is it? Yeah.
Every morning.
Yeah. Did you have what did you have in it, like,
Just fruit.
Yeah, bit of fruit.
Fruit, honey and peanut butter.
Yeah, nice. Yeah. Do you get up early, do you, Kev, in the morning? Or?
All different, it depends what works on you.
Yeah, of course.
If I've got plenty of work on, I'll get up that early, but if I can have a sleep, I'll
have it lying,
I like my dreams, Mark.
Do you, mate? Yeah, you enjoy the dream state,
I do, mate, yeah.
And that's something I want to get into today, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
The nature of the mind, really. Yes. Like, obviously, you call yourself the mind shaman, you know what I mean? And I love that. And I feel like you're owning that as well, you know what I mean? It's a big part of your experience here in Liverpool.
It's a nickname off me, mate.
Yeah, was it? Yeah. So, I really want to talk about, obviously, all matters related to the mind, the human experience, human behaviour, personal development, the work that you're doing here in Liverpool, the clients that you've got, the transformation that you're seeing, but also your own personal transformation in the life that you've lived here in Liverpool. So, okay, let's start getting into it. I mean, you've just started, let's lean into the dreams for a minute, you know what I mean? Yeah. You've just talked about you love dreaming.
It's the language of the mind.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah.
So talk to me about dreams.
So the dream state is similar to, say, like a psychedelic state or a deep state of meditation where it's highly visual.
Yeah.
So I'm interested in the symbolism. Yeah, the symbolism that's coming from my dreams. So it's like learning to understand what's coming through. So dreaming of things like foxes and dreaming of things like when you're dreaming of a feminine counterpart, which is the other half of you, them sort of things. So it's like what the symbols are saying to you. Symbols transmit so much information with just a picture.
Yeah.
So it's like understanding. You can realise a group's intentions from understanding symbols.
Yeah.
They can tell you all the words they want. If you see the symbol that they get behind, you know the true intentions.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, because it's the symbols are unconscious.
Yeah.
Thing produced from deep in the unconscious. So when the symbol precedes the group a lot of the time.
Yeah.
And then obviously you've got like figures of the hero and the Joker and the caregiver and all these, heavy, literal characters.
Yeah.
But they actually exist within us.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, these are modes of being that have evolved with our psyche for billions of years.
Of course.
Yeah, because we're still connected to the reptilian part of our mind.
Yeah.
It's still there when we get pulled into our deepest fears.
Yeah.
So we've evolved with all of that. It's all just the consciousness.
Yeah,
it's all collective.
Mm-hmm.
And there's patterns to it. There's a lot of patterns because nature follows patterns.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Do you dream a lot, do you, Kev?
Right, so I don't dream loads these days, but when I do, it's superb.
Yeah.
Yeah, like when we were by Lake Bala, I dreamt of Valhalla.
Really, yeah?
Yeah, so it was like all warriors with their golden shields.
Wow.
And that's like you know the warrior archetype when it's within yourself.
Of course.
Yeah, it's like an archetype's like a seed. It's like a seed, like an idea, and you can add to it if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So I do the warrior archetype by going box with the lads and things like that. Yeah.
Of course, feeling into that energy, isn't it?
Yeah.
The energy of action, the energy of discipline and willpower and.
But it likes it. That part of you likes combat.
Yeah.
But obviously you've got to balance it out. It can't be combat where people aren't wanting to take part. You can't be a bully. You can't use it in that way.
Yeah.
But if an agreement between two people, no problem, is it?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. So I see it that way.
Lovely.
Yeah.
And we're going to lean into that today, obviously, because I know a lot of your work's inspired by Jungian psychology.
Oh yeah.
And that is very much talking about them archetypal energies within us. Especially the king, the warrior, the magician, and the lover. Which is where
that's balance.
I hold really close to myself, and and it's for me, it's an incredible map for really to understand our own behaviour. Really, when we're talking about human behaviour and understanding how we behave in our own personal lives in society, it's powerful stuff, isn't it? A lot of our, I suppose, behaviour goes unnoticed, Kev, doesn't it? But we'll get into that shortly. Coming back to the dream one, recently I'm feeling like this is very collective, and correct me if I'm wrong, I've been dreaming about like a lot of this stuff that's going on at the moment in the world. There's connected to a little bit of this paedophilia stuff, you know what I mean? I'm having like
it's a collective shadow.
Yeah.
So what it is where everything that's coming to light is coming to light to be healed.
Yeah.
So this is why it's coming to light, because we haven't been aware for a lot of these things, and as well as I do, if you look through different spiritual traditions through every culture, you've always got the negative elements as well.
Yeah,
and people don't sort of see that. It's
in the shadow, isn't it?
Christianity, look at the Inquisition, look at things such as this, you know what I mean? They've all got the shadow element, and it's all collectivism.
Yeah.
So collectivism can be very useful, but if you don't regenerate your collective with new information, you become stagnant, and it'll die in some way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, and we think we can hide from nature. You can't hide from something that lives inside of you.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. So if you can go to the farthest reaches of the world to hide from nature, it's scary from the inside.
Because we are nature, aren't we, on the deepest level?
We're nature with higher consciousness, and it's about finding a balance between the two.
Yeah, lovely. Yeah, really interesting that, isn't it?
Yeah. It's the balance is in the heart centre, isn't it?
Yeah, of course. And we're talking about alchemy there, isn't it? The stuff that's rising up within us that we have to take a look at, don't we?
It's the surface. Yeah. Unless you do, it consumes you.
Yeah.
And that's like when whole societies break down.
Yeah.
Which I think, obviously, what we're seeing now, we're seeing that same pattern of a society, a culture breaking down. But I think we've got enough new information from the phones to be able to bring it back to centre.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It looks chaotic now, but I really believe it'll come back to balance. Yeah.
And that's I suppose that happens naturally, but also it happens maybe having a sense of meditation. Being able to objectively observe the stuff that's rising up in you, which helps things to stabilize, to purify, and to alchemize, I suppose, you know what I mean? Because it does consume us, doesn't it? A lot of this stuff, and when we wear it, when we identify with it, and
we create it.
Absolutely, and we can that identification can swim around, and cause an imbalance in our experience.
Yeah. When you can get pulled to one extreme or another.
Yeah. And that's what's happening really at the moment, isn't there's a lot of people getting pulled from pillar to post.
Yeah, collective projection. Yeah. So each person, when you're in your shadow, let's say, or when you're in low vibration, you're going to get pulled to one pole or another.
Yeah.
And then someone at the other pole is going to be responsible for everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then vice versa,
Yeah.
But it's like, I think it's about transcending this duality that they try to have us living in.
Yeah.
Yeah, and seeing like, both sides have got good ideas.
Yeah.
You've got to see, you've got to find the truth in the middle.
Yeah. We're a mixture of light and dark, Kev, aren't we?
Yes, yeah.
So you've just spoke about the shadow there. Let's lean into that and, talk, this is all obviously for the benefit of the listener.
Yeah.
You've got a story to tell here and you've got a reservoir of information that, I suppose we could be here for hours and hours and hours. But, Jacob, our audio guy today, is on a bit of a time frame.
Yeah, that's fine. No problem.
So let's get into the shadow a little bit and, project your understanding of it. And obviously it's for the benefit of the listener because you know, we're here to educate people, aren't we, Kev?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You know, with the
we
work
can.
that we do here in Liverpool, because I feel it starts with being educated, and then once we've been educated, it's how we execute that education in our own personal experience, isn't it? So the shadow, talk to me.
So to talk about the shadow, first you have to talk about the ego.
Yeah.
So the ego is the construct that we use to navigate reality.
Yeah.
And what happens is we unconsciously build our ego from the outside based on people's opinions about who we are.
Yeah.
It becomes like an agreement.
Yeah.
But because of this, because it's not really who you are at your centre, you end up with conflicts. And everything that could potentially be in your personality is left unconscious.
Yeah.
Which with people like us, before we discover balance, is the feminine, compassionate, instinctive, intuitive aspects of the psyche. This is so you're meant to be, let's say the heart centre is a bridge between these two parts, right? But when you're in anything rejected becomes part of the shadow.
Yeah.
So when you say you're going into group type behaviour, you're going to become the opposite of what you say you are. Yeah. And you're going to project what you are onto everyone around you.
Of course.
Yeah. Whereas, like,
people do that unconsciously, don't they?
It's unconscious. Well, it's how reality works.
Yeah.
Because we're born with unconscious people, we pass the unconscious patterns on.
Yeah.
And all these unconscious patterns are the collective habits that we've had for millennia, some of them, you know what I mean? And it's and because of this, because we disconnect from our centre, who we are, who we were meant to be when we were born, who we were before everyone told us who we were, we build that from the inside.
Yeah, of course.
But you have to integrate the good part of the shadow. So it's got a lot of darkness in it, but it's got a lot of useful stuff in there.
Absolutely.
So say like I always identified as shy until I started all this work. Confidence was in the shadow.
Yeah.
So that's a useful element I had to dive in to integrate and bring it into my wider consciousness.
Yeah, of course.
And it's about integrating the shadow is about reaching wholeness. So if we're integrating the shadow elements, which is the feminine elements, like I say for ourselves, we become whole. We get that balance.
Yeah.
So like I say, we get our intuition, but we can link it with our thoughts really well. Yeah.
It's difficult to actually, you know, own your own shadow, isn't it? You know what I mean? I think that's where the integration breaks down for a lot of people, is like, you know, to actually take a look at the stuff that has gone unnoticed about our personality, and then, you know, own it, take responsibility for it. Yeah. And that's when the integration happens, isn't it?
That's it. I've got shortcuts as well.
Yeah.
You got shortcuts. See, most shadow behaviours are because of an excess of emotion. Yeah. If you just teach someone to process all their emotion to a zero, you bring them balance.
Yeah.
And then so in my coaching sessions, I'll separate, like, someone might come in with anxiety. You know as well as I do, anxiety is a mix of a lot of things. Yeah. So you separate into maybe 9-10 emotions. Yeah. Anger, fear, rage, resentment. That's a dark one. Yeah. Yeah. And when these build up, these consume people. So if you get it from, say, like, someone comes in, you separate guilt, resentment, fear, anger, and say like each one's like an 8 or a 9 out of 10. Yeah. When you trigger it. Well, that's consuming them when it gets triggered.
Absolutely.
So the
being
coaching's
swept up by that emotion, aren't
that's it, yeah, and it's and you feel it possesses you. Like the Greeks, the Greeks had named gods after emotions. Yeah. Like resentment, you'd be possessed by resentment. Yeah, you're possessed. What was it? Nemesis. And all I could think about was revenge.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. Yeah. So it's like, but you feel that in yourself when you're sort of like, because I can consistently process these things. Yeah. Still have to chase resentment, it's still built up. Of course. All these things too. But as long as as long as you stay vigilant and I keep that energy down, keep balance.
Of course, yeah.
But there's forces beyond our control and beyond our understanding.
You know, it's funny because, like, even on my own meditation journey, you know, I still lose me shit. Do you know what I mean? Of course. You know, I'm still reacting in the world. Unconscious projections are coming out of me.
Of course.
And it happened to me, you know, this week on Monday. I was, you know, someone was clearly projecting an authority upon me, do you know what I mean, for hugging a friend. And it was like, you know, you shouldn't be doing that, do you know what I mean? And she was just projecting a collective narrative that...
collective fear.
Absolutely. Yeah. You know, and I did react, do you know what I mean? And
well, I have done myself a couple of times in the same situation.
Yeah, you know, and I felt like, you know, the reaction was actually necessary because I was showing her something about her own shadow that she was projecting onto me, do you know what I mean? And again, anyone listening to this, it's just an opportunity to be educated on these matters and how we behave, really, do you know what I mean? And sometimes our own behaviour it's not even ours, it's collective, isn't it?
Of course.
We're paging other people's stuff.
People are trying to compel us to behave a certain way.
Yeah.
But I say, if the group's gone to a certain place and it's you don't agree with that place is going, you leave.
Yeah.
Yeah. You leave. That's it. As simple as that. And what I'd say thing to do is all the psychological blocks and all the psychological, barriers that have been carefully placed in me subconscious, remove them.
Yeah.
You can't set yourself free from the outside.
Of course, and this again, this is where for me that meditation journey comes in, because it helps me to observe the stuff and capture the stuff that's coming up.
Yes.
A lot of the things come up and we don't capture them, and so when I capture them, just observing them helps to stabilize them. But then also it's an opportunity for me to integrate the shadow.
Of course.
And then the self-talk can kick in, can't it? Because we are our own teacher, really, aren't we? So if you can have that sort of positive, neutral self-talk
around... Yeah, the champion.
That's the one. Around this stuff as it's rising up, then you become your own teacher.
Yes.
And that's empowerment, isn't it? And I know that's stuff that you teach here in Liverpool, and it's stuff that I teach. I teach people how to navigate their own experience inevitably, and that is a victory, isn't it?
As an individual.
Yeah,
you have to go as an individual, otherwise they're going to find impasses.
Yeah.
You have to live who you are from your heart. Yeah.
It's that
as close as you can.
Yeah, be yourself.
Yes. Be yourself, just be you, because everyone's just copying everyone else. And like I say, it gets boring, doesn't it?
I think people are afraid to be authentic. I think people have a collective fear that being authentic, is quite boring to the world. So we put on this facade, don't we? We show our best self to the world, and we're really looking for love, aren't we, Kev? A lot of people are just
everyone's
looking to be seen.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, but we don't look inside of ourselves, do we? We use the world for a sense of...
for approval.
Yeah.
But when it's once you learn to connect to that part of yourself where you're not lonely.
Yeah.
There's always someone present.
That's it. And it changes a whole experience, because you're then in a mindset, an experience, a vibration of abundance. Yeah. And instead of maybe being in a vibration of lack and scarcity and incompleteness.
Gratitude's medicine. Yeah. Just a simple gratitude list is like drinking medicine. Yeah. The parasympathetic nervous system kicks in, relaxes your digestive system, it relaxes your immune system, it does everything. And it's as simple as writing a few words. Yeah. And people obviously sometimes when people come, they struggle. I can't think. And it's like, just cheat. Fake it. Look outside, trees, grass, everything. Yeah. You can go nuts with it, because it's like you can express gratitude for everything. For everything, yeah. For the whole, but if you just split it all up, you've got a bigger list.
A friend of mine, Craig White, I remember him saying, do a gratitude list and write 500 things down. And I was like, whoa, it's a bit heavy. You know what I mean? And I did it. Yeah. Because you can be grateful for everything. And some of the stuff that gets completely overlooked is just these simple things with our own experience. Yeah. Like appreciation for our own vitality. Yeah. You know what I mean? Appreciation for just being here, being alive. You know what I mean? Yeah. The house over, Shelter, the roof over your head. The food that you eat. The breath, the life force. The body and all its
the opportunities
functions.
we've got.
Yeah.
We've got so many opportunities. Like I say, you can make your own job now with the internet.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. There's a great saying by Tony Robbins, and he talks about just change expectation into appreciation. You know what I mean?
Yeah, expectations are killer, isn't it?
Well, I think so many people set a bar high, or so many people have been conditioned to expect from the world. Yeah. And inevitably that expectation causes just suffering.
Conflict. Yeah, it causes so much conflict. Yeah, let go of expectation.
Yeah. You'll never be disappointed, really. Will you?
If you keep on doing work from the inside, what's on the inside will unfold. Yeah. It's all energy. If you just unfold more of what's you. The phones are kicked in a Gutenberg revolution. Yeah. Like the printing press. Yeah. So from the printing press, which is invented in 1440, came the Reformation, which obviously, the Christians separated from the Catholic Church. So there's 800 million Protestants in the world because of that. Yeah. And then you've got the scientific revolution, was responsible because when the printing press was introduced, people could read en masse, and so people became more educated. These phones are the Gutenberg revolution on steroids. Yeah. So it's like everything that's come up has caused a lot of chaos. but we have to take from the chaos what's useful and place it into order and balance.
Yeah.
That's
We're
like
in the
I
age
say,
of information, aren't we?
yeah, and it's all there. I mean, you can get lost in the chaos, like,
course.
you know, there's a lot of swimming.
There's a rabbit hole there, isn't there?
But you need what's just useful for you.
Yeah.
And it's what's useful for you stands out when you get closer to your centre.
And what's useful to you might not be useful to somebody else, is it? You know what I mean?
No,
So it's all relative to our own experience, isn't it?
Because even the books that have a sort of standardised way to behave, the internet, you can go for what you want to go for. What's useful for you at this moment.
Yeah.
Like Christmas Day 2 years ago, I listened to the audiobook of the Vedas.
Really? Yeah.
It's like 12 hours.
Wow.
And it's boss. It's one of the best Christmas days ever. It's heavy, mate.
Wow.
It's heavy, you know what I mean? But it's like their mythological stories are the same as ours.
Yeah, of
They're
course.
just different characters, but it's the same theme.
Yeah.
It's about death, rebirth, the hero's journey, all these different like archetypal things that we live within.
Yeah.
It's like mythology is talking about psychology.
Yeah.
And when people realise that, they can appreciate. I reckon I appreciate it a lot more.
Yeah.
Because
Why I love Jordan Peterson so much.
He helped. He didn't half help with that part of the mind.
He goes into that space, doesn't he? Bringing the mythology out, linking it to our own psychology.
Yeah.
And again, it's connected to all the archetypes, isn't it? Really, that Jungian psychology, Carl Jung, you know, all that work that you're interested in.
I've done all those lectures.
Yeah. What inspired then all this, Kev? Where did this, like, let's go back in time a minute, you know what I mean? Because, you know, we could just bat and ball this all afternoon, you know what I mean? I'm loving where we're up to so far.
I started having my first joints since I was young.
Really?
So I stopped smoking weed when I was like a teenager because it made me anxious.
Yeah.
Right? But then I realised, like, when I was having it when I got older, the anxiety was useful.
Yeah.
It wasn't anxiety as such, it's vulnerability.
Yeah.
When you feel that, everything changes, doesn't it?
Of course.
Everything changes.
Seen
because
as a weakness in the West, isn't it?
Yeah, but the thing is, once you realise it, it brings you more into balance. You realise, like, you're vulnerable, so are others.
Yeah.
Right? And it's like, you are vulnerable, but there's always, like, a bigger king. You know what I mean? There's always someone who can sort of, like, do you harm.
Yeah.
So you've got to keep that balance. Like I say, karmically, you've got to keep that balance.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah? So when I started meditating, I started to realise it is a sort of, like, you think about the terms of karma as nature's law.
Yeah.
And it's like a score system.
Yeah.
So the way I seen it once I started meditating, it was telling me you have to redress the balance.
Yeah.
Yeah, your heart has to be lighter than a feather.
Yeah.
Basically, yeah. So it's like, so once I started smoking weed, I started listening to meditations off the internet.
Yeah.
Just for something to do. And then it was like the sensations, feelings, the boss advice from the inner champion.
Yeah.
And it's like, it tells you, gives you advice.
And you can't deny them experiences, can you?
No. You've got this, so you're in meditation, obviously you see visions, you hear things, you feel things. You've got this inner champion, sometimes sounds really, really profound, really clear.
Yeah.
You're having a spiritual awakening.
Yeah.
And it's telling you. And it's like, basically, you realise sometimes with what you're doing, sometimes it just feels like you're pushed.
Yeah.
Yeah? It's not like you're consciously doing things, it still feels like you're pushed.
Yeah, you're being guided, aren't you?
It feels that way, yeah.
Yeah,
It feels
lovely.
that way, but it's like energy. But, you know, we've been guided by negative things at the beginning of our life. Maybe it's because everything's switching, the consciousness is changing. Like I say, the phones have made the consciousness change.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
And, you know, what did life look like before that? Do you know what I mean? Or growing up in Liverpool, like, you know, where was you born? What was the, you know, have you got siblings? Like, what was life like?
Yeah, I've got I was born in Liverpool, Oxford, was it Oxford Street?
Yeah.
Right. I lived in Neventon my whole life.
Yeah.
From like the age of 3. Got 4 brothers and 1 sister. And and still all sound.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah. All 2 different jobs. One brother lives in Paris, one brother lives in Gibraltar.
Yeah.
My sister lives up in Crosby, not
Nice.
far. Yeah.
And what was life like for you, like in the household, growing up, like going to school, like happy household? And
Yeah, that's I love all of them. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
lovely.
love them all. Yeah,
And then-
obviously you have your disagreements and that. And see, this goes well into the Jungian psychology. Because your whole family, your own family situation. That's how you can assess sort of like things that you need to work on with yourself. So some of the things that are born when you've got siblings is like jealousy and rivalry and all these different things. But that when you're young, it's like in a kid, it's harmless.
Yeah.
It doesn't look like, it's that harmful. When you're 30, 40, it's when you realise that you've got these things that are from young that you need to address.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and you need to address them, otherwise you're going to project them outwards onto some of the people you love the most.
Of course.
So yeah, so that's that gives me the main clue to go for, or any familial stuff.
Yeah, looking at the family dynamics.
Yeah, and it's dead interesting.
That family constellations, like, you know, I think as well the universe is always trying to find balance, isn't it? You know what I mean? And where people talk about how me and my brother, we were just chalk and cheese, you know what I mean? And there's
but we're meant to be.
Yeah.
That's Cain and Abel.
Yeah.
Yeah, it creates that dynamic. But it's when they're close together, it sounds, but it's when you come far apart with like opinions. Periods like this can split whole
families up.
But that's what it's designed to do by the universe. So then it's like, well, you need to pull it back together because you need to heal these things that have come up.
And it's going to be the compassionate heart, isn't it? It's going to be, you know, the neutrality. It's going to be you know, them faculties within us which, you know, of acceptance. You know, we got to almost accept each other in our indifferences, haven't we?
Because 90% of the time people are operating through habits. So if you're taking a habit personally, that's on you. So if you if you realise no one's behaviour is really personally towards you. Gives you freedom and peace.
And you know what we're talking about here, you know, taking things personally. It's a wonderful attitude in a book, you know, by Don Miguel Ruiz, you know, the 4 agreements, you know what I mean? And then coming back to that symbology that we first started the podcast on, you know, he's got a book called The 5th Agreement, and a lot of it's about symbology. I haven't dived into it yet, but I'm just feeling into the nature of the book, and I believe it's a gem, like, so I'm looking forward to getting into that one. So okay, you know, growing up in Liverpool, you know, started smoking a little bit of weed, listening to a bit of meditation music, and then you started to have these experiences.
Experiences.
When was this, around your teenage years? And
No, the experiences came later in life. See, what it was I smoked weed when I was younger, but I didn't really sort of use it for that purpose. It's when I rediscovered it later in life that I started going through this process. But when I was younger, I grew up in a house with, like I say, happy family, good people, good hard-working people, lovely. And then went to school, but I didn't really take to school, to be honest with you, Matt. I ended up leaving at 13. Because at home I had George Orwell books and like really interesting stuff, everything maybe written by Roald Dahl.
So you were diving into that kind of stuff early on?
Because my mum used to buy me books from a really young age, and that was my meditation then. So I could sit for days and days and read a book. That's what I mean. I used to read Roald Dahl back to back, and again and again and again. And then once you found George Orwell, like Animal Farm at first, it's a storybook about a farm. I was like 11. But then when I'm like 14, this is about the Russian Revolution. You know what I mean? You understand, because you have to go back and you find out further, and you understand talking about the parallels between what happens in China, what happens in Russia, what's happening here right now,
of course.
At the moment. And it's like I say, it gave me the sort of, and 1984 as well, I've read that probably 100 times.
Really?
It's so fascinating. It's so fascinating, and you find more and more each time. But it's terrifying.
Wow.
It's the most terrifying book I've ever read, because obviously, like, this is a pattern that Orwell was onto. He was onto this collective pattern. And what was happening in Soviet Russia can happen anywhere. If you don't keep that balance, or you don't regenerate your culture, you can go left or right, and either one's going to take you to a place you don't want to go.
Because it's too far one way, isn't it?
Because the balance is found between the tension of these opposites. Because it's like the right side of the brain is predominantly the creative side of the brain. A lot of people who are in the creative side of the brain are going to be on the left. The orderly side of the brain is the left side of the brain. That's logical, rational. A lot of people on the right are going to use this part of the brain predominantly. When everyone's heart closes en masse, you're going to go to one extreme or the other.
Of course.
And these two have fought each other since time begun. So it's like it's them two characters, the emotional mind and the rational mind. So because we're striving for balance and wholeness, you have to have them two communicating. So that's the heart centre. That's what you were talking about before, the lover.
Of course.
He's your inner power. But it's so you can appreciate reality. You don't just love for singular people, it's love for everything. And that's an open heart, isn't it?
And you know, when we sort of feel into our own heart space, and we fall in love with the world, don't we? You know what I mean? And everything in it.
Everything.
You know, and it's quite a difficult concept for some people to understand that, isn't it? You know what I mean?
It is, because there's a lot of bad.
It's because there's
a lot of bad people out there. But one thing we got to appreciate is the evils that people are capable of, we all are.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, especially
it's
if we go
inside all of us,
unconscious.
isn't it?
Inside, the potential's there for everybody, and anyone who thinks they're not capable of evil, they're probably the most dangerous.
Yeah,
by far.
Because they're denying it, aren't they?
They're denying it, and the essential part of themselves, that's there in their nature, and if you're not balanced with it, it can consume you. As we've seen so many times, you get individuals can be consumed by it, which you see quite often.
Yeah.
But then when we hold collectives, so when you go into like a revolution situation, the mental illness is times 10.
Yeah.
Imagine times 10 schizophrenia, times 10
Oh,
anxiety.
yeah, of course.
So you see the anxiety happening now. It can consume people, but if they process what's coming up, it's going to make them more whole.
Yeah.
And
what did you do as a job, Kev, like before all this started to unfold? Like
everything.
Yeah.
I've been a chef, I've worked in factories.
Have you?
Yeah, painted, been a sparks mate with my dad.
Yeah.
Done all sorts to make money. Like I say, sometimes you do things that are outside the law to make a bit of dough.
Yeah, of course.
But obviously don't bother with anything. Don't need to bother with anything like that anymore.
Of course.
But just anything to try and make dough. Because you're not really thinking, are you? You're just on this roller coaster and you don't realise what's going on.
You're very much in the primal space, it's of like making money. We look for safety, shelter and security first, don't we? So, and I think also there's a collective narrative, of like, it's dog eat dog, and get out there, earn your crust, you know what I mean, and get paid, and it comes from an unconscious vibration of lack, doesn't it? You know what I mean? That we're chasing the coin, we're chasing the money.
Yeah.
And when, from my own experience, when I truly realised that and started doing the own, inner work and coming from the inside out, then I realised I was already whole. I realised I was already rich. You know what I mean? Everything I ever needed was right here, right now, right in front of me. Yeah. And then, you're changing the whole vibration, aren't you? Because you're allowing then, you're manifesting it, aren't you? Yeah. You're allowing it to come to you with grace and ease and without ever striving for, things outside yourself.
Yeah, because the money... It's. I mean, obviously, people buy things to try to bring them happiness.
Yeah.
One, it doesn't work, and two, it comes from the inside.
Yeah.
So if you just figure out how to make it from the inside, it's free.
Yeah, of course.
You know what I mean? Yeah. It's free, and it's less of that, like the chasing, less of the feeling, lacking that. Yeah.
It was funny. I seen a brief post even last night from a human behavioural expert, Dr. John Demartini.
Yeah.
And he's brilliant. And he was talking about consumerism versus values and flow. Do you know what I mean? And he was like, you will naturally consume less if you are in a state of flow. Yes. If you're following your highest ecstasy, if you're following the things that are aligned with your own values, then you don't even have to draw upon willpower. Do you know what I mean? You don't have to draw upon grit, because it's already there. It's already there. You're not fighting the world. You're moving with the world, not against it.
Yeah.
So it's all these, and it's teachers like this, Jungian psychology, Dr. John Demartini, these experts who've been around for such a long time, who are now in a place of who've just created a platform for us to understand this stuff, isn't it?
Well, Jung had an awakening, didn't he?
Yeah.
During World War One.
Really?
So he had, like you say, what he called a confrontation with the unconscious, which you were talking about before. This stuff comes up and it needs to be addressed. So he's addressed it. He's actually gone in within his own psyche and communicated with the beings that are within his psyche.
Yeah, wow.
So that's how he's brought more wholeness to his life. And he's built up a whole body of psychology from that, like 19 books.
Yeah, of course.
I've got the red book there, right?
Wow, which one's that?
That's the visions.
Right.
So he sorted all his visions into little black notebooks for years and years and years, and then he's created the red book. But he doesn't want this to be released yet.
Really?
He didn't. I don't know if he ever really wants it released, because it's all about his own personal visions. So if it had been released at the time when he was active, then he would have got destroyed by the scientific community, by the psychological community, all that. But now there's space for it, because we're allowing that information in now.
Yeah, of course.
Because when these people try to think of things spiritual as woo and this, that, the other, it's like, I'll tell you what, tell me that when you tapped into the unified field.
Yeah, of course.
And you realise that things that I thought was complete woo and complete bollocks.
Yeah.
It's all I've connected to, you've connected to.
Yeah, absolutely.
Everything's made of energy, everything's made of atoms vibrating at various frequencies.
Absolutely.
It's like, everything's made of light. So it's like, you can tap into more places than you think.
Yeah.
Like, this physical reality is only a very small part.
Yeah. Like a small bandwidth, isn't it?
It's the tip of the iceberg.
Yeah. And that's why I love the meditation journey. And I know you're an avid meditator yourself, because inevitably, you're just creating conditions to go beyond your own analytics, aren't you? Do you know what I mean? Beyond your own mental constructs, you know, and to have an experience which actually feels connection. You know, there's a level of connection there. There's a level of lightness there. You can't deny these experiences. And we could maybe, you know, reference that as a spiritual experience, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, where you're beyond the personal self.
Yeah.
You know, there is no confusion.
Transpersonal,
Absolutely,
yeah. Transpersonal. It's called transpersonal, what do you call it? Transpersonal data.
Yeah.
You've got transpersonal psychology, which studies it in a term, like, they look at the universe holographically.
Yeah.
So if you, holotropically.
Yeah.
So you've seen the holotropic breath work.
Yeah.
Oh, that was created by a psychologist who he's built on the psychology of Jung and things like that.
Yeah.
He gathered 4,500 people on LSD with like this light.
Wow.
And basically this was taking them to massive spiritual experiences where they're communicating beings within their psyche.
Yeah, of course.
But they're also having experiences based on, right? So he called different stages when you're in the womb, it'd be a different type of information to come out once you tapped into it.
Wow.
So basic, it'd be called a basic perinatal matrix. And perinatal means during gestation.
Yeah.
So when you're in the womb. So you've got first when you've been conceived. Then you've got the 9 months. Then you've got the waters break.
Yeah.
Then you've got being squeezed down. Obviously,
Yeah,
that
the
very
birth canal.
small gap. Yeah. So all this creates a lot of emotional trauma.
Yeah.
And when you can tap into this, it's like a collective trauma.
Yeah.
And your consciousness can be in the books and like what I've seen, and obviously working with other people, your consciousness can be localized elsewhere.
Yeah.
Like, you know, on mushrooms, I ended up becoming in the kitchen.
Yeah, of
and
course.
I couldn't move.
Yeah.
I was like, what the hell?
What's going on here?
Weird, mate.
Yeah.
It was dead weird. I felt like I couldn't move. It was just dead stiff.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it was like, the mushrooms done that.
Yeah.
And it's like they were taking blood tests from me in a lab. They'd be like, oh yeah, this chemical's created to cause this effect. I'm like, nah, you're there.
Yeah.
You're there. And
You're
you
there.
know it. You can't
Yeah.
deny it. You can't stick a needle in. You can't do a test on someone like that.
You know, we're talking here now, but we can place our consciousness really anywhere we want to. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, anytime you want.
I can put myself outside Marks and Spencer's right now, you know, on Shear Street in Liverpool, you know what I mean? But I can be here with you
down
now.
Crosby Beach. Yeah. Your blood pressure goes up. I walk down Crosby Beach for 30 seconds and then come back.
And,
you know what I mean?
Yeah. And obviously that's the nature of some of the stuff that you're teaching here in Liverpool. So, you know, having this journey and all these jobs, you know, in Liverpool, and obviously going on, you know, just your own journey, isn't it? You know what I mean?
It's a story. It's like, and now that my mind's become clear, it's like I can look back at the whole story as a story, and it's like, it's that interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, because people get attached to their own story, don't they? Do you know what I mean? And having, you know, I'm not denying our stories, because we've all got a story to tell, and I think we should all tell our stories.
Light to dark's the best story. Sorry, dark to light's the best story.
And we can, you know, we can save people's lives by telling our stories. You know what I mean? And I always, you know, it brings about a level of like sentimentality, really, because it's where we fall in love with people. You know, when we're telling our story and people are being present with us, and we feel like someone's listening to us. Do you know what I mean? So. But we get so attached to it, don't we? Do you know what I mean? That we can bring our past into our present, you know.
And recreate it.
Yeah.
In a different form.
Yeah. And I believe, you know, just having creating space from that, you know, so having that affection towards your story, but not being so attached to it, you set yourself free, don't you?
Yeah.
And, you know, then you're creating space for recreation.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You create the story, you become the author.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Instead of just being dragged along.
Well, you're the master of your moments, aren't you?
So, yeah,
rather than the victim of your condition.
Yeah, because if you're not master of your own house, someone else will be.
Yeah,
always.
Yeah, it's really interesting stuff, isn't it? And, you know, we're very much diving into the faculties of human behaviour, you know, so far. And, you know, we've been to chat for 40 minutes, you know what I mean? So, yeah, it's really interesting. Thank you for sharing so far. Okay, so, you know, obviously through the journey, you know, where did the coaching start to come into it, Kev? Like, you know, what was alive for you? Was there a moment, you know, when you started to maybe feel like you wanted to hold space for people and teach people this stuff? And how did that unfold?
Well, it started out when I started meditating. The next thing someone advised me to try was Reiki.
Yeah.
So I'm going to get Reiki off someone.
Yeah.
So I waited 6 months, right? And I ended up booking with this lady called Pauline. It's like she's been doing it for years. She does Reiki, therapy, NLP. She does everything.
All that.
Yeah. She's so like, she's like a proper wise old woman. She's brilliant. Yeah,
Wow.
yeah. So like I do a lot of courses with her, but the Reiki course, I fasted. So like I didn't meditate before I went, I just fasted and then skipped out of there.
Yeah.
You don't touch it.
Yeah.
It's like, how can someone make you feel like that without touching you?
Yeah.
It's like, so it just keeps on. And you end up having little mini sort of, not breakdowns as such, but mini shifts where you have to let go of old beliefs about what you thought was possible.
Course.
Yeah. See, the quantum physics makes it more easy to let go of a lot of these restricting beliefs.
Because it's our belief systems that get in the way of our growth. Yeah.
But it's supposed to be limited, and you're supposed to discover it's limited, and then you're supposed to do the work to get you out of the limited behaviour.
Yeah.
Because if you don't, then you're staying in a limited behaviour.
Well, a lot of discovery, again, people can deny it because that's where that cognitive dissonance comes from. It's like, it's a scary place.
It creates a physical pain.
Because it's unfamiliar, isn't it? You know what I mean?
Yeah, the unknown creates fear.
Yeah.
And creates like an invisible barrier sometimes. It can literally stop you in your tracks. Yeah.
It takes courage to like take a good look at your belief systems and question them almost on a daily basis. Do you know what I mean? And you know, and transcend them.
You have to. So you can find the useful stuff in all of them, but obviously there's bits that you need to avoid.
Yeah. Wow. So you were having these experiences with Pauline, you know, you know, exploring Reiki. Just for anyone listening to this. Yeah. And what is Reiki then for anyone listening?
So it's basically talking about life force energy, right? But it's the Japanese interpretation of it that come about by this Japanese Buddhist monk called Mikao Usui.
Yeah.
So he's done the hard 21 days meditation, fasted.
Yeah.
And after the 21 days, he had a spiritual experience.
Yeah.
And it taught him how to give the Reiki.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's the story in the books. And then obviously he's passed his teachings down to people who've then spread all around the world.
Yeah.
So you can trace the lineage always back to this fella,
And inevitably you're just holding space, aren't you? And you're allowing that, you know, divine matrix, universal source energy to move through you.
That's it, move through you, because you get healed at the same time as the person. It doesn't come from the person. No one's like magical. Yeah. Anyone can do it at all. Yeah. Anyone can do it, especially if they're inclined towards it.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. And we're all healers inevitably, aren't we, Kev?
We're all connected to the same source.
Yeah.
And we all discover that eventually.
Yeah. And it's a big discovery, isn't it? You know what I mean?
The best.
It's a beautiful discovery.
It changes everything, doesn't it?
It does change everything, you know. And I think, I remember maybe from my own experience, I was always looking for something. Yeah. We're all looking for something, aren't we? There's a gap in our life, a hole in our experience that we feel like needs to be filled, but we fill it with bullshit from the outside world,
garbage,
don't we?
Yeah.
You know, and even the stuff that we use from the outside world that we try to fill that hole, it's impermanent. It comes to only to pass, doesn't it? And I suppose, as you know, this is where all our addictions come from. Yeah. Because we get addicted to the feeling, but the feeling passes away. So it's more of a pleasure cycle, isn't it? Yeah. You know what I mean? And
with the when you get into actual addiction, at first it's for pleasure, but then when it gets so far into it, it's to bring you actual to balance. Yeah. It doesn't actually have the effect it used to. It doesn't bring a high anymore. It just brings your body back to equilibrium. It's like smoking. Like if you smoke, people think smoking relaxes them. But if they'd never smoked, they wouldn't need smoking to relax them.
Yeah, of course.
What they're getting is withdrawal symptoms.
Of course.
Yeah, and they're using the smoking to get rid of the withdrawal symptoms.
Yeah, of course.
But if they process the withdrawal symptoms, it can be a different thing.
Yeah, well, you know, it's cold turkey, isn't it? You know, you got to go through them processes to, you know, to naturally find an equilibrium without something externally taking you to that space. But like, you know, I think what's important to see, we don't want to deny these things externally that can bring us to balance as well.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Interesting. Okay, so, you know, we were just sort of tapping into like self-realization there, weren't we? Like, you know, realizing who we are really behind, you know, behind all of this, behind the mask.
We're more than this, this fragile character.
Because it's a wonderful experience, Kev, isn't it? When we almost find what we're looking for. You know, I remember. Yeah.
And it was under our nose all the time.
Right on the surface. Right on the surface of our experience, isn't it?
It was just there.
You know, I think because it's so simple, because it's so obvious, we absolutely miss the point, don't we? We overlook it, we miss it.
Yeah. What was that saying? What's it called? It's the last place we'll look.
That's it.
Inside, it's the last place we'll look. Well, everyone looks up in the sky and all these other statues and idolatry and whatever celebrity, whatever they do, whatever they worship, and it's like, oh no, you've got everything within you. Yeah, everything. Yeah,
and it's cool. You know, for anyone listening, it's that reference point of awareness, really, isn't it? The one that's aware inside of you. You know, that faculty which is non-dual. you know, which is unbiased, which is unborn, undying, you know, there's a feeling of foreverness there.
Yeah, it's eternal.
Yeah. You know, and it's a wonderful experience, isn't it? And it's so direct. It's like just that light bulb goes on, doesn't it? You know, it's an aha moment.
You get a chance to dip into the higher intelligence for a few moments sometimes, and when sometimes when you come back, you brought something back with you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's what the meditation journey does.
Yeah.
You know, we can tap into that on a daily basis, can't we? By creating conditions to go beyond, you know, our illusionary sense of self, and to tap into that divine matrix, you know, eternal force. And then we learn how to embody that, don't we? You know, we actualize that. And then I know that's a term from Carl Jung, which is known as individuation.
Individuation, becoming an individual whole being. Yeah. So it's, like I say, we build our personalities from the outside. The groupthink constantly creates destruction in the world with repeating patterns. So individuation is where enough people go through a process where you can end up with a stratum of people that hold the tension of the opposites.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. So that helps to bring other people back from the fringes of the opposites.
Yeah.
Of
course. And so we're demonstrating, aren't we? We're advertising, you know, neutrality really.
And balance is found in the heart. And it's like, if you judge people by appearance or anything like that, right, when this is the smallest part of reality, that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Everyone should be able. You should give everyone a chance. Their personality, their individual self, because you can get to know anyone on an individual level.
Of course.
But obviously, when we're being brought up, we're taught that this group's dangerous, this group's this. But then, obviously, when you meet representatives from these respective groups, you find them completely sound.
Yeah, of course.
And you don't see these negative things that people are saying. So. You have to delve into the person's individual personality.
It's so easy to judge, isn't it?
Groupthink and identity, it's dangerous.
Yeah.
It's so dangerous.
Because we judge a book by its cover, don't we? Or, you know, we slip into an ideology, you know what I mean?
Every time. Every time, if you're not aware. Like I say, if I'm projecting onto anyone because of how they appear, that's on me.
Yeah.
It's nothing to do with that person.
But
now I realise this, so I understand. If I'm passing any judgments about anyone, about anything, process that within myself. You catch it when you do unconsciously. These things come up and you catch it and you process, and then it's like, oh yeah, I'm not projecting this outwards, I'm gonna own it, like you say.
Own it. It takes courage to own it. I mean, you might be actually, you know, observing somebody and observing someone's behaviour, you know, and how they're actually, you know, acting in that moment or reacting in that moment. But it is always a mirrorverse, isn't it? It's like, okay, is there something I need to learn here? What's the trigger? How can I integrate it? But I'm still observing, you know, you seeing it in that other person, do you know what I mean? But then we get into the judgment side of things, don't we? You know, and that's where things get a lot messy.
It's getting lost in it.
Yeah.
If you get lost in it, and it's once you project it outwards, so say like you feel jealousy, once you've expressed that jealousy outwards, you projected it.
Yeah.
Whereas if you realise, well, this jealousy is probably nothing to do with this person.
Yeah.
This jealousy is probably tied back to when I was a small human.
That person's just triggering it
like
in that
my
moment.
Like my mum might give me brother more food or something, you know what I mean? And that stays with you. It's madness. You take it personally when you're a kid, and it stays unless you've obviously become conscious of it.
Yeah, we do take it personally as children.
Or they bring a new baby home.
Yeah.
It's like, Mum, what are you... I thought it was just me and you.
You know, and it, coming back to Jordan Peterson, he talks about how kids are narcissistic, you know what I mean? You just take everything personally. And we don't get out of childhood, you know, without wounds, do we? Do you know what I mean? And then woundings...
They're the conflicts.
Yeah, they're the conflicts,
but
and they're what we
gifts
project.
Or curses.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's how it's when we truly see it for what it is and integrate it. That's where, you know... That's what we deserve, isn't it? You know what I mean? It's our rightful sovereignty to
it's a
rest
mythological.
in that place.
It's a mythological story if you look at it in the right way. You see, because the psychological characters everyone's embodying.
Yeah.
It's like a mythological story if you look at it in terms of symbolically.
Yeah, of course.
And it helps you appreciate the experience.
Yeah, of course.
So right now they're possessed by this. So,
all that.
So it helps you sort of like, I see. This is at play here.
The problem here, Kev, is that we don't get brought up with this information, do we?
Oh, the universe isn't just going to give it to you on a plate. You have to work for it. And so it's like, but you know yourself, the work now is much easier than it's ever been.
Of course.
Because what I've learned off that phone, barely left me bed.
Yeah.
You're learning things from Africa, you're learning things from the Middle East,
Yeah.
you're learning things from chat. It doesn't matter where you go, you're going to find wisdom, and you can integrate that wisdom into, like, obviously what you're teaching others.
Of course.
Because it's like I say, there's so many parallels between the different cultural, spiritual traditions.
Yeah.
You know, you can integrate all of them.
Do you feel like then, you know, obviously what I love, that transmission there, you give me a different perspective there, is like, you got to go looking for it, you got to find it yourself, you know what I mean? Do you think if it was taught earlier on in our experience as children?
You build from the ground upwards.
Yeah.
So if you're talking about building someone's mind, you have to start at the roots.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can't build a house by putting a roof on first.
Course.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
it'll fall down. But that's what they do in the West. They teach us knowledge. They teach us how to talk. They teach us these things, but they don't teach us anything about emotions, intuition, or instinct.
Yeah.
So what happens then is, because we got this imbalance, it comes back to haunt us a lot.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, like I say, as individuals and sometimes as collectives.
Yeah. And that's why people, I suppose, you know, when they get into the, you know, for me, it was around, I mean, I was always questioning this stuff, but around that age of like 27, 28, really started to ask them big questions, you know what I mean? Like, who really am I? You know what I mean? What's my purpose in the world here? Where am I going in my life? Like, what's all this about? You know, like, really wanting to know, do you know what I mean? And it takes an element of will, doesn't it, to really start to seek some truths.
Yeah, because the next day you could have fell back into your old patterns.
Yeah.
You have to keep staying conscious and realise, oh yeah, there's more.
There's more. Yeah.
But then again, once, what should we call it, Jiminy Cricket switches on and starts giving you the good information, your consciousness, you start getting that good advice, and you start getting the advice when you're about to do something wrong.
Yeah, of course.
It's like, do you really want to do that? It's like, thanks, man.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Pulling back all the
it
time.
pulls you back, because it's like, sort of, you're aware that there's these other things, like I say, intuitions inside you, inside your mind, inside your body.
And it's when we really start to apply it, it helps to build a platform for authentic connection, doesn't it? You know, authentic relationships. And that's what we're starving for, really, isn't it? You know what I mean? You know, just a level which is neutral, authentic.
Yeah.
And then when you're in that space, we're celebrating life, aren't we? Do you know what I mean? And then every day feels like a holiday most of the time, you know what I mean? Because you're not really swaying too far away from your centre. Yeah. Obviously, you know, you
do a little bit sometimes,
of course,
yeah.
But you're very much centred in that space.
Like, say, stuff comes up that blocks your heart.
Yeah.
Stuff comes up, like, say, you could be thinking about resentment or fear, anything. I can end up blocking, and then that stops the communication. Yeah. Like, it stops adequate communication between the two.
Of course.
The three lower senses and the three higher senses.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. And the heart sense is right, and that's the middle place between the higher and lower realms, isn't it?
Yeah, that's it. That's it. Yeah.
And you're talking about the senses there, you know, the 7 energy senses in the body.
Yeah.
Yeah, the chakra system.
Yeah, on a physical level, it's where there's a nerve plexus or a pressure point in the body.
Yeah.
And this nerve plexus will serve particular parts of the body, like the root center will it'll serve the adrenal glands, and like the glutes, the hips, the sciatic nerves, the roots of the body.
Yeah, of course.
This is where all some of the darkest elements are. You know, some of the massive unconscious things. You find it in people's legs.
Yeah.
You seen it? Remember the Joker film?
Yeah.
When he starts going a bit cuckoo and his legs go.
Yeah.
It's because he's thinking of stuff that makes him like destructive stuff. He's thinking of destructive emotions.
Yeah, of course.
It's creating energy.
Yeah,
and he's
in
never
the
been
legs.
able to integrate that energy into his personality. Because they've had him on all sorts of medication for years. Yeah.
Of course.
The medication just represses, but it becomes darker.
Yeah, of
and
course.
it's always going to come back just like a...
Yeah, it pops out then, doesn't it? It's like a rage then, doesn't it?
You individuate, but not the way you should want to. It's not conscious individuation.
Yeah.
You're fully embodied by a shadow.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. And that's when you can't go back.
Super interesting, isn't it? You know what I mean? How do you feel like, you know, the world would be if, like, our children were getting taught this stuff early on in the schooling system?
I think as long as we've taught to process our emotions instead of project them outwards, we'd solve an awful lot.
Yeah.
War, revolution, genocide. Starts out emotionally.
Yeah, of course.
It starts out in balance, doesn't it? So it's like, if you've got everyone striving for individual balance, you're not going to get that collective thing. And you got to promote being an individual.
Yeah.
Stop so much groupthink. Stop so much ideology.
Yeah.
Because it's the ideology, like I say, it doesn't matter what ideology it is.
Yeah.
It can take you into a dead end.
Yeah, of course.
And then, like I say, once you're in that dead end, it's hard to leave because of the pressure that the group puts on you.
Yeah, of course.
As you can see what's happening at the moment.
Well, it happens, you know, it happens to a lot of people who are maybe going through a change, you know what I mean? A process of individuation, a process of awakening, you know, self-realization, where you start to change, you know what I mean? You know, and you're not being governed by your old, belief systems. And then it's the outside world who are going to judge you. And it's that saying, you've changed.
You become the fool.
Yeah.
Yeah, because to go on any sort of journey where you learn something, you have to become the fool first. And you're just stepping away, but you're just getting projected onto.
And so many people, from my experience, thought I went mad.
Yeah, I started meditating and started Reiki. I joined the cult and then I was leading the cult. And what people don't realise is no, we're leaving it.
Yeah.
Because culture means your cult.
Yeah, of
What
course.
do you think England is? What do you think Scouser is? What do you think? These are cults of belonging.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. Some are positive, some are negative. Like I like the Scouts one.
Yeah,
that's my favourite cult so far.
Yeah, of
yeah.
course.
But I left like the Liverpool. See, I stopped being able to do footy when I was going for a horse.
Yeah, of course.
I used to go to the match with my mate, and then I found I was sitting there, and I was like, I thought I was getting depressed.
Yeah.
I was like, this just isn't doing nothing for me.
Yeah.
But then when you realise you read about consciousness and you get into this deep spiritual readings, and it's like it lights you up.
You're breaking free from it, aren't you? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. That's what I mean. If you want to break free from anything, you're not going to do it from the outside. Well, from what I can see, you're going to do it from the inside.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And people on the outside are completely judging, but they're only, projecting something that. But a lot of people are afraid of what they don't know, obviously.
Yeah. But like we said before, everyone is capable of doing much more from within. Everyone is. Absolutely everyone. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you feel like, where do you feel like you're up to then? In terms of maybe your own individual experience, but where do you feel like we are collectively? Maybe even talking about Liverpool, there seems to be, a lot more people are waking up nowadays. Yeah,
it's the pool of life, and I've actually had a couple of people who've been clients, video call clients, because they'd seen what we were doing with like the yoga on the beach with the dip, with the swimming and the meditation in the park and Shabbat Park and the litter picking. A lot of people have got actually, like a couple of clients have said, we love what you're doing up there. He said, we wish someone was doing something like that here. You know what I mean? He said a lot of you, and what he said about it is, it's not just girls, it's boys and lads and girls, it's men and women who are striving towards, like, obviously wholeness within themselves. And like I say, it's the whole journey's taught me so much about, like, obviously men and women. Society wants us to tries to make us think badly of each other. So we don't have a symbiotic relationship. But it can be different. You can find balance between each other. Like, you can see each other's blind sides, especially when you're in a couple. Something you're blindsided by. If your missus is honest, you can point it out to you. You know what I mean?
And that's like, learning how to communicate consciously, isn't it? You know what I mean? Calling someone out, but from a place of love. Like, we don't see our own stuff, and there's a blind spot in our own stuff.
Make them laugh. If you're going to tell the king something about him, that's going to insult him, you've got to make him laugh.
Do it with love.
You do it with love, do it with humour, because people don't really remember what you said to them. They remember how you made them feel.
Yeah, of course.
So if you make someone laugh, the memory sticks.
Yeah, of course.
It's a good way to
and it's a great way how to behave, isn't it? You know what I mean? How to communicate, non-violently, you know what I mean? Keep things clean. And again, this is something where I feel like we're being let down by society. Like, we're not taught how to communicate with people, are we? Do you know what I mean? Consciously.
Isn't it boss teaching yourself?
Yeah.
Because it's because what it is people can teach you till they're blue in the face. You're best learning from your own experience. Like you say, connect to that inner teacher. He knows so much.
Absolutely.
You obviously get basics from school and that, but you learn so much about life and everything from just doing the work.
Life's our biggest teacher, isn't it? You know what I mean? And you talk about the work there. This is the work, isn't it? You know what I mean?
It's lifetime's work. It's going striving towards wholeness. No one's enlightened. You won't find anyone on this planet enlightened. And anyone thinks that they are. That's ego. So it's like each day you have to sort of address that part. Ego. You don't want it to be inflated again. Because when it inflates, it takes over.
Of course.
You want it to be balanced, because it can inflate or deflate.
Yeah, of course.
Deflation is when you've got low self-esteem and you can't. You need to find that balance.
Because we've got to make teammates with our ego, Kev, haven't we? You know what I mean? And use it, it's for navigating reality. If you haven't got it, you can't navigate reality. And that's our personality, isn't it? The ego itself.
The totality of who you believe yourself to be.
The personal self.
Yes.
And when we merge that essence with the personal self, we're finding a wholeness then, aren't we?
You find a balance.
Equilibrium, the Buddha speaks about the middle path, equanimity, all that kind of stuff. And when we practice that, because it's a skill, isn't it? You know, we practice that on a daily basis. You know, meditation, or it might not be meditation. Some people's meditation might be going to the gym, or, you know.
Some people run. Some people run. Some people play footy twice a week, you know what I mean?
That's their meditation,
yeah,
isn't
because it's serving the same purpose a lot of the time. It's producing the chemicals in the body. Yeah, the body's full of drugs, so it's just make your own,
it's
isn't
full
it?
of cortisol as well, isn't it? The stress hormone.
Yeah, that's it, yeah.
Interesting, isn't it?
Yeah.
Wow. So, you know, now then, you teaching in Liverpool.
Yeah.
And you're holding space then for clients. Is it like individual clients? You do group sessions? Like, how does it work for you?
So I'm doing individuals right now. I stopped doing groups. I was doing group workshops before, obviously, what happened with all the madness.
Yeah.
But then everyone cancelled. So I haven't done any groups in that respect since before what happened. I've just been doing one-to-ones, because I've actually been quite a lot of one-to-ones. But then I've done a couple of small Reiki groups that people have requested it. Yeah. So I've got one tomorrow. I've got 4 ladies learning tomorrow.
Nice. Lovely.
Which is called Reiki Level 1.
Yeah, lovely.
So the Reiki Level 1's really good if you want to start processing your stuff.
Your own stuff.
Yeah, because that's about self-discovery, the first one,
Absolutely.
Self-discovery and those closest to you.
And learning how to just hold a bit of a space for somebody else.
That's it.
Just to be present. That's one thing that we're not very good at, is being present with people, are we? Do you know what I mean?
You've got to listen to what people have got to say.
Yeah. Listening and talking to a two-way stream, isn't it?
Yeah, because I found the best thing to do when you reach rapport with someone, especially in a session, you let them go. Leave silences. Yeah, you've got to leave gaps, because when there's a gap, their unconscious will fill it. Yeah. So sometimes you'll get something it'll just pour out. Yeah. So you just wait, look away. You know? Yeah. But then it'll just be like, I actually had one woman which was really funny. Are you waiting for me to speak? I was like, of course. Yeah, of course, yeah.
Because the silence is uncomfortable for a lot of people, isn't it? You know.
Yeah, but that's why I produce this stuff. It's waiting there, just waiting to pour out. But sometimes you've got to poke with the right questions, or sometimes you just leave the silence. Yeah. And then once the silence is there, it's like, they reveal what they're there for.
A great teacher of ours, isn't it?
Yeah. It's the best.
Yeah, it is. Our greatest teacher. Yeah, wow. So, you know, you got clients in Liverpool and using all obviously different faculties, you know, Jungian psychology, meditation, you know, mantra, visualization, and I suppose have you found your own way of coaching people? Yeah.
It's what's it called? It's using the first, right? What people come in for a 2-hour session, we'll find specifically what feelings they're feeling, right? So like I say, we separate them. And then once we processed all them to a 0 using an anchor, we then clear the chakra system with the same technique.
Lovely.
So the technique, you can create it dead easily, right? And I'm not bothered, you can create it if you can listen to this now. Yeah. 10 things you're grateful for, 10 people that you love, and put them all in a happy place. Yeah. Pretend you're holding on your right hand. Yeah. Any state that bothers you, pretend you're holding on your left hand. Yeah. Bring them together. Yeah. Yeah. And that higher gets rid of lower. Wow. Like you were saying before, it's alchemy, isn't it?
Alchemy, yeah.
It's like the high vibration is speeding up, the low vibration. So when I first found out that it worked, I was like, nah. What?
Yeah, is that easy? Yeah.
I was like that, and I was like, what? So this has been possible all the time, and I've gone through all that shit. Yeah. You're messing.
Wow.
You know what I mean?
Wow.
Like I said, right onto your nose. So it's, your body doesn't know the difference between something real and something imagined. Yeah. So that to me says, okay, it ties up your imagination.
Of course.
That's simple.
And that's what like the likes of Joe Dispenza and all that are teaching out. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely brilliant.
Is to go into the, you know, project into the future. You know, go to
feel the emotion as if it's already done.
Feel the emotion in the body as if it's happening and a lot of people are actually unconsciously doing it the other way. They're worrying, aren't they?
Yeah, you'll always create where you're unconscious or you're conscious.
They're going into the future unconsciously, thinking about stuff, psychologically overthinking into a lot of the time, you know, they're trying to cover all bases because they're afraid of uncertainty. And then the body just follows the mind, doesn't it? You know what I mean? Always. You know, and no wonder people are feeling stress, anxiety, you know, despair, you know, all that stuff. That fear then is a response that moves through the body, isn't it? You know? Yeah. And the beauty of the journey, and I always come back to the meditation journey because I feel like it's the remedy. You know what I mean? It's a platform.
It is definitely the remedy.
It's the platform. Is that you start to capture what's going on with your thought processes, and then you're able to untangle them. You know, when it comes back to that inner champion, then where you're starting to actually take a look.
More. Yeah, because it's all about connection. Become resourceful. feel good feelings, and you'll connect more to the inner champion instead of the inner bastard.
Yeah. Literally.
The inner, no, well, that's what it is. If you're see what it is right when you talk about, in the different religions, you've got the higher and the lower.
Yeah.
It's everyone's got this character. It's just it's a symbol for different types of energy.
Of course.
Yeah, and you've got this inner bastard, which this is you when you're low energy, low vibration. Yeah. And it'll say some of the horriblest, nastiest things about you, about other people, etc.
All that.
And then obviously when you become resourceful, you take your energy high.
Yeah.
Get more contact with the inner champion, and he tells you everything's possible. Yeah. Yeah, anything's possible.
You're either plus or minus in yourself, aren't you?
Yeah. It's true. And like you say, it's all about frequency. Yeah. It's all about resonance. Yeah.
And maybe relating this collective shit, this shadow aspect, because there's the golden shadow, isn't there? And there's the dark shadow, and I know it's when we relate to that within the archetypes, and the design of the archetypes, whether it be like the king, you know what I mean? The king, is golden shadow, is
he's fully integrated wholeness.
Absolutely. And then that negative shadow is like this tyranny. You know what I mean? He's the weakling prince and all that kind of stuff.
He oscillates. You got your passive shadow, haven't you, which is the weakling prince, and then your active shadow, which is the tyrant.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. And that runs through the other archetypes, doesn't it?
Always. There's always a positive element and a shadow element. Yeah. And there's always a passive element and an active element as well. Yeah. Wow. Because like a passive element is going to be someone who's experiencing low emotions like sadness. Yeah. The active is going to be fears and angers and all that, because they remember some emotions bring your nervous system down, and some ramp them up. So when it's passive, it's someone's just like the sad clown, and then obviously when he's fully the shadow, he becomes the Joker. Yeah, of course.
How would what information would you give to people, like obviously with the conversations we're having here, and people just, because what we're talking about is years of understanding, do you know what I mean? We've been at this now. I know you had a sort of an awakening around 2012, and we've had a discussion about that. And I had a very similar experience, and I suppose we're always expanding, aren't we? Do you know what I mean? We're forever.
Just now we know we are.
Exactly. Do you know what I mean? And we both create a platform for natural evolution and that expansion. But what we're talking about here can be quite deep for a beginner, and it's like, a bit much for me. That, where would you like...
For Jungian stuff, right, start videos on the Academy of Ideas on YouTube, because it's got like 10 young videos that's 10 to 15 minutes long.
Yeah, nice.
And that'll give you a way in. And obviously, if you like the videos, you become interested, then I'd say a book such as... Memories, Dreams, Reflections first. Yeah. Because then you learn more about him, because it's like a sort of autobiography type thing.
Of course.
And then if you want to bend your head out of shape, something like Ion. Really. Yeah. Ion was the third Jungian book in a row that I read in the space of about, say, a week maybe 10 days. And I had a ego death that lasted 2 weeks. I was just like, man, just what it's, because it's all this stuff that I've learned now. That's when I learned it. And it's like, that shifts so many beliefs. And then it also shows you that it's important to find this balance, because like I say, if you're not mastering your own house, someone else will be. And there's forces at play much bigger, more powerful. We don't understand them. Yeah. If you let them in, of course. Take over. Yeah. You're possessed, like I say, you're possessed by it.
It's like when you have a drink, isn't it? You're drinking alcohol and you've got no boundaries, and then all of a sudden...
The shadow's in. Yeah, and he loves it. Yeah.
People go, it wasn't me. This is just the shadow aspect of them.
Yeah, this is why I stay away from too much drink. I limit myself to one or two, mate. Yeah.
Because it's nice, actually. It's a loosener, isn't it? You know what I mean?
Well, you can reach higher consciousness with alcohol if you don't overdo it. Yeah. But then obviously when you overdo it, it lets shadow elements in.
Yeah, of course.
And you see, like I say, people that are lovely, they act in a way that's just completely not them. Yeah, of course. It's like everything's upside down.
They've let something in, haven't they? Yeah.
That's probably why they call it spirits.
Yeah, of course.
Or gin. Yeah. Or gin, you let the gin in. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really, really interesting stuff.
But that's one of the archetypal symbols now. In 1984, the drink in England, or strip one, that they used to drink to forget about reality, was gin.
Really?
It's called Victory Gin. Really, Victory from the Glorious Revolution. You know what I mean?
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, hardly anyone had shoes, but they got plenty of gin.
I mean, nowadays it is becoming trendy to meditate, isn't it? Mindfulness, you know,
wellness is the new
wellness,
graft.
is definitely the new graft. You know what I mean? Holistic therapies, you know, and it's running through like it's running through the collective, isn't it? You know what I mean? You know, I think sometimes it takes you know a lot of people to come to the darkest hour first to do something about their life.
You need a dark night.
Yeah, you need that dark night, don't you? And then you think, I've had enough of this. You know what I mean? I want to do something about my life. I want change. You know, all that kind of stuff, and then you know, self-help, self-betterness, meditation, you know, holistic stuff, Reiki, all this, yoga. It's now like cool to explore, isn't it? You know what I mean?
I've had fellas coming in to learn Reiki, to do on their families and do on themselves. So that's like, I was proper made up with that, because I've had loads of ladies coming into it. But then when I've started getting fellas coming into it, it's like, it's proper made up. And proper like, lads, a couple of them are like, you know, they've had the rough times themselves, you know what I mean? But now they're coming into that balance where they're turning that whatever they were in the past into something positive.
Because it's a, you know, we can use that void, can't we? Do you know what I mean? That energy, that drive, that maybe we've been placing in an area which hasn't been so nourishing to
aggression becomes assertion. It's aggression's toxic, assertiveness isn't. Because assertiveness allows you to create boundaries, which another thing that's very important right now. You have to create boundaries to avoid narcissistic relationships with people. We need to start doing the same with people who say they rule over us. You have to have a point where it's like, oh, listen, you're becoming unreasonable. And we're not going to go any further with it. Because you need that to keep that balance.
But it's learning how to say no, Kev, isn't it? A lot of people are afraid to actually say to somebody no.
You need to.
You know, and courage is a virtue, and I feel like it's not necessarily cultivated that much nowadays. Obviously, it takes that inner hero to come out and go, you know what, it's a fucking no. Do you know what I mean? But it's learning how to say no with love nowadays, isn't it? You know what I mean? And have some healthy boundaries in our life, which allows us to breathe, which allows us to not get so entangled in other people's stuff, and brings us back to our centre, doesn't it? Yeah. Wow. Really powerful stuff. So, Kev, obviously, you know, talking about reality, talking about human behaviour, Jungian psychology and all matters related. Where does this fit into the psychedelic journey, or, you know, the map of astrology?
So the psychedelic journey, it's another way to reveal the collective unconscious or your psyche to you. Psychedelic means to reveal the soul. So it's like your psyche is your soul. It's like putting a magnifying glass to it. And like I say, your psyche is connected deeply to the collective unconscious. So you're going the same place on psychedelics as you will be on like a meditation. You're either manifesting the symbols in your mind, or sometimes you're just thrown in it. So sometimes you get lost in it. If you go deep enough with breath work, with DMT, mushrooms, you get thrown in with the gods. And you get to interact in some way. And basically what you're doing is, what's in here, you're diving in and getting a closer look.
Of course.
That's the way I see it.
And it can almost resolve itself within them journeys, can't it? But it's shown us something to almost learn and integrate how to resolve it in our own reality.
A spiritual experience can be a healing experience because of the simple fact that it shows the person who received the experience there's more. And once they've seen there's more, it can end nihilism. You know what I mean? Because we're very nihilistic in our society, aren't we? And it's like it's no surprise because of the way they deliver spiritual traditions. You know what I mean? It's no surprise people end up ideologically possessed by it. But if you don't listen to the fella in the cold building in the dress and you read the book yourself, you understand. I see. This isn't real people. This is metaphors.
It's all metaphors, isn't
stop pretending these people are real, and I can get with it. You know what I mean?
Do you believe the Bible's a metaphor?
I believe mainly. I believe some of it can be historical fact, but I believe mainly it's symbolic. And a lot of the characters in it represent a collective character.
A lot of allegories,
Yeah, I reckon say like a character of like a Jacob. It represents a people at the time rather than just one person. It represents a type of person. Or like a John the Baptist that represents a type of person who'd use baptism to heal. As I don't think actual baptism is splashing water on a baby's head. That's symbolic. These fellas, more than likely, from what I've read, used to take someone's head under the water to the point that they have a spiritual experience. And that gives them like a reset. So say like you've got someone who's suffering from whatever, taking them to see the water shaman who lives by the river.
Yeah.
And took their head underwater and
Because
gave them a
it's
rebirth.
like a near-death experience, isn't
There
it?
you go.
That's what it is.
There's loads of ways to get there. What it is we're in an ordinary state of consciousness all the time.
Yeah.
All the changes happen in non-ordinary states.
Yeah.
There's loads of ways to reach the non-ordinary state.
Psychedelics.
Psychedelics.
Meditation, breath work.
Every different avenues, different ways, and a different experience with each one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm an advocate of the psychedelic journey, do you know what I mean? Because of, you know, of the journeys I've had, you know, in many different
They're my favourite
experiences, you know what I mean? And I've got a lovely relationship with the mushrooms, you know what I mean? And, you know, we go picking, you know, they grow on our land, don't they? Do you know what I mean?
The best ones as
you
well.
know, liberties
are unbelievable. Unbelievable.
And they're there to show you something, aren't they? Do you know what I mean? They give you these insights, these revelations. And, you know, anyone listens to this, we're not saying go and eat mushrooms, you know what I mean? But we're just talking about how this is an avenue, a platform for us to understand.
Don't do it destructive, because what it is people try to go towards hedonism with all substances, where they're always chasing a good time.
Yeah.
The thing with mushrooms is they can give you an education which you can interpret as a bad time.
Yeah.
So I'd say understand some of the things that can come up, the psychological symbols that can come up before you have it, because otherwise it can be overwhelming.
Because there is no really good or bad journey. We would judge you to be that. But it's just showing you something, isn't it?
Sometimes you have to look into the abyss.
You've got to go into the darkness, haven't you? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, it's uncomfortable to take a look at your own shit,
I had a 4-hour ego death the other week. It took 4 hours ego death and then 3 hours of just unbelievable balance and pleasure. Yeah, but the 4 hours ego death was torture.
Uncomfortable.
So uncomfortable, But like I say, this is when it turns into the room, it turns into the couch.
Yeah,
when I was trying to do my meditation mantra, it kept on turning into purple snakes and filling my head. So that was while it was collapsing, but when it surrendered, and then I'm just lying on a couch, and it feels like I'm in a room with no doors.
Because the ego battles it, doesn't it?
It does, because it wants to survive.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It wants to survive.
It's a matter
of
life or death, isn't it?
It wants to be the boss. It wants to take the energy it's been taken from these different things, because it gives it more energy.
Yeah.
But if, like, you can't let it be the driver, you've got to take over, because otherwise it'll take you to unconscious places that you don't want to go again.
And I know a lot of, like, I suppose, spiritual seekers, they talk about ego death, don't they? Or they try to chase that. Like, I don't want the ego, but really, we've just got to bring the ego to balance, haven't we?
That's it, because when you collapse it, it doesn't mean that it's gone.
Yeah.
Because that's impossible. You need it to navigate. If your ego's not there, you're in severe mental illness.
Yeah.
You're in chaos.
Yeah.
You've got no structure.
Yeah.
And we know it happens, like, you know, people, we know people who obviously, I know people who've been sectioned for things like that, when the whole structure falls away from life. Yeah. You know what I mean? And
the ego is very much, it is the personal self, all of our virtues, like the way we navigate our experience. And it grounds awareness into this reality, doesn't it?
It does,
You know, because we need that perception for us to be here, don't we? To be having this experience.
Yeah, like I say, we couldn't do without it. Yeah.
And, you know, when we have that perception, from my experience and from my understanding, when we've got something which is an objective, and then we've also got something which is subjective. Yeah. You know, there's two realms going on here, isn't there? You know what I mean? There's the realm of awareness, impersonal, you know, divine self. And then you've got, you know, the illusionary reality.
Infinite and finite.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it, literally. Yeah. And when we navigate two faculties as one, that's where we're very much...
That's where the magic happens. That's transcendence comes from the balance of the opposites.
Yeah, lovely. Powerful stuff. So, you know, you've obviously explored many psychedelics and had many journeys with that. And is it something you would advise people to explore, or?
Obviously, look into it. I mean, you can have mushrooms as a social thing, like we did. Yeah. Because the thing is, they grow up, come off the floor. Yeah. It's not like you got some kids in South America manufacturing it with worm powder. You know what I mean?
We had a lovely time, didn't we?
We had the most time.
You know,
a little 0.3. Little 0.3 at the time. Yeah. And then, like I say, after that lovely night where we had a boss night, and then fell asleep, dreamt of Valhalla, which was brilliant, and then we got up in the morning tipping in the water again. Yeah. Lovely experience.
Right in nature, with good people, you know, and it was ceremonial, wasn't it? You know what I mean? Obviously, we had the fire there, the symbology of the fire, and the elements, really, you know, we had our feet on the ground.
We had all of them.
We had the water, we had the wind, you know, and just being supported by nature. It was a very, very magical, beautiful
you have
experience.
to reconnect to it.
Yeah.
Because we spend so much time in these square boxes, they're very masculine
Being
structures.
domesticated, haven't we?
Yeah. Definitely.
You know,
we need to bring back the half wild side.
Yeah. And I think, you know, when we meet that wildness with almost sensibility, you know, we meet in the middle, don't they?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah,
Not being too wild, but
you make friends with it.
Yeah.
Instead of it, like I say, instead of it taking over, you make friends with it. Yeah.
Yeah, lovely. So connected to astrology then, because I know you're interested in, you know, the astrology really.
This is the Mrs. realm, but we get into it a little bit. Yeah.
And because I know you're also read tarot, is that correct? Do you explore the tarot?
Right, so that's another what a weird interest, but I'm interested in it because the symbolism is more repeating symbolism. Yeah.
With the planets.
Some of them are connected to planets, some are connected to I think what was it they're connected to? See, that's the Mrs. domain is what it's connected to. I'm into the symbolism of the cards themselves. You've got like the Fool card, which is the first card out, and then you've got the major arcana and the minor arcana. Yeah. The minor arcana relates to physical. Yeah. The major relates to metaphysical. Right. So when you're talking, when the Fool's the first card in the major, and then like I say, that starts the journey. But like I say, I'll end up butchering because she knows the order of everything. What's it called?
I know you're talking about here.
Jackie, my partner. So we do work with each other. Obviously, we do meditations with each other. We do a lot of work with each other, anything we can. So we try to support ourselves in that way.
Lovely.
And obviously, like I say, things you're not conscious of, the partner can help you out with.
Yeah, of course.
But she's been exploring the tarot since she started awakening. Because when she does it, right, it's like I'd say it's like a psychology session. Yeah. It helps you formulate what you didn't even realise you needed to think. What's going on about yourself. Yeah. And then like the feedback she gets off other people and everything, it's like that's spot on. Yeah. So it's like you're always surprised. So that works as well.
Yeah, of course.
You know what I mean? And it's So it's, but then she related to the astrology as well. So she does a little thing on her page where she does all the astrology signs and does a little reading for each one. Yeah.
It's nice when you've got a partner there who's certainly navigating the journey, you know, from a greater sense of awareness.
She's developed loads herself. She's done really well with it.
And you've got to do your own work, haven't you? You can't really save anybody. You can hold space, you can call people out. But when you do your own individual work and when you've got a partner doing their individual work and you complement each other, you know, and show each other, you know, then the blind sides that we don't notice about ourselves, but integrate them experiences. You're asking for a solid relationship there, aren't you? Yeah. It's not easy though, is it? You know what I mean?
Not at all, no, because we still all got these unconscious drives, these unconscious habits that they manifest. Yeah. Like I say, you project things onto your partner that we become aware that we're projecting now, so you project loads onto your partner, and also this is old patterns that you projected onto every partner you've ever had. Yeah, wow. But now it's to the point where, I see this is another pattern. She's not responsible for how I'm feeling. Yeah. I'll go and meditate for 20 minutes. Yeah. Come out, feel much better because I acknowledged it. You know what I mean? Accepted it.
And that's the big one, isn't it? Noticing this stuff, accepting this stuff, working with this stuff. You know, it's essential, isn't it? You know what I mean?
And it's fun. If you process, say, like you get jealousy and you let the jealousy consume you, that's one way of going about it, and you project it onto everyone. It's not just for your partner.
Vomit it onto the world, don't
onto everyone. Like people are doing something that you're jealous of, someone gets a new car, all this sort of crap, and it consumes you. Where when you process it from like whatever it is to a zero, it's like you leave space for something more to move through. And it's like if you're feeling jealous about somebody, as soon as you process it, it can flip how you look at the person or the situation.
Changes the perspectives, doesn't it?
Completely.
When we change the way we look at the world, the way we see the world changes, doesn't it?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, and it's the outside world's a reflection of how we feel within. Yeah. So you're looking at the world every day through a filter of how you feel.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And that's how most people are just literally however many people there are on the planet, you know, they're all navigating life, most of them from their own perception, aren't they?
Yes.
You know, I mean, we could say 8 billion, but like, you know, maybe we got into a conspiracy theory here. You know, how many people are actually on the planet? Do you know what I mean?
7.8 is that?
You know, well, they reckon there's 7.8, but I've got friends who would argue that, do you know what I mean? They reckon there might be only a couple of billion, do you know what I mean? And you know, and that's a whole new conversation, and we're not going to get into conspiracy theories right now. Do you know what I mean?
No problem.
I'm a bit.
They can consume it.
Of course.
They're so interesting. Yeah. And I'd never I'd never dismiss some of them because some of them are brilliant. Yeah. But yet they can't consume.
Flat Earth one, like, you know what I mean? I know you've got, you know, people. I mean, I there's the flat Earth. Is the Earth round? Is it triangle? Like, fucking hell. And at the end of the day, does it matter?
Well, I'm into the processional cycle. Yeah. So the processional cycle is the planet's got a wobble to it that takes 25,920 years, and this is known as the Great Year. Yeah, and it takes you through the 12 so is the ex-science.
Yeah.
And that's where it comes from. Like, we're leaving the age of Pisces, which is 2 fish swimming around each other,
Yeah.
yin and yang, into Aquarius, which is
Absolutely.
about flow, water
Yeah.
sign. Yeah. So it's like, this awakening coincides with when the sun's coming up in this place, and it's
Yeah.
like, and procession's not.
And these changes happen over a long period of time. It's
No.
not just happening daily.
We think everything's taking ages, but in cosmic terms, it's a blip.
Yeah.
We're just like the end of all that other stuff that's just happened before, with all
course.
dinosaurs and amoebas and whatever else that
and that's where we
consciousness
are
has
right
been.
now in this present moment.
Yeah,
isn't it?
we just become
Collectively.
more complex, or we just created more complex organisms.
Yeah.
And that's what the consciousness does. It just wants to create itself.
And do you feel like consciousness is always trying to evolve itself?
It's always trying to become more complex. Yeah. So as we expand our individual consciousness, the collective consciousness expands further.
Yeah, of course. Wow. It's fascinating, really, because it's just a great mystery, Kev, isn't it? Consciousness.
We chatted all this stuff and we still know
and and we have to surrender to that, don't we? You know what I mean? It's like all
empty
this
vessel.
Yeah,
because you can keep on getting.
Yeah. Information's, it's a lovely thing, and we can sit here all day and we can bat and ball. And obviously, our intention here is to actually serve people. My intention for creating space in the podcast is just to educate, give people a platform to look outside of their own belief systems, you know what I mean? And to check in some of the stuff we're talking about, especially the meditation journey, reading the right books, listening to the right podcasts, surrounding yourself with the right people, being in an environment of where you're celebrating and the nature of achievements and all this kind of stuff. But inevitably, we have to come back to this simple faculty of just being natural. There's a natural feeling inside of us, this naturalness, this nature, this neutral space, and when we truly embody that, the magic happens.
Feels strong but innocent.
Yeah.
Like that balance, strong but innocent. Like, you're strong, you're capable, but you're innocent because you feel it on you. You feel like this, like sort of, I don't know.
It's loving, isn't it?
Yeah. That's it. Yeah.
Loving, present.
And no one has to be present for you. That feeling, you can just have a walk down the street. You can have it for the planet.
Yeah, and you have it anywhere, can't you? You know what I mean?
You can be grateful for every breath if you choose.
You see the very, you see the extraordinary in the simple things, don't you? You see the magic in everything. Do you know what I mean? And when that happens, it's a beautiful state of being, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's a beautiful state of being. Okay, Kev, so we're starting to round this up, do you know what I mean? Like, where can people reach you? Like, people want to get hold of you, you're open for one-to-one sessions. How do people get hold of you? Like, what's going on?
On Instagram, the Mind Shaman 1111, or on Facebook, the Mind Shaman. Not on any other social media.
Whereabouts you base yourself?
I'm based on South Road in Waterloo.
Yeah.
But I'm going to be getting some more classes on the go now that some sanity appears to be turning up.
And what do they look like? Like meditation, yoga?
I'm thinking workshops, because I like doing these workshops. It's a workshop that's called Understanding the Energetic Body.
Yeah.
So we go through, we do a yoga meditation. We teach about each chakra and each center and how it's related to your psychology and etc. And how it's related to the function of your glands and your whole nervous system. And then you do mantras for each one.
Wow.
Yeah, and the mantras are after doing say 10 to 15 minutes for accelerated breath work. That sort of stimulates all this emotional information that's down here. And then when you're doing the mantras,
just raising
you're taking it up one step at a time.
Elevating, aren't you?
And you're tapping into the frequency of the sensor itself. It's got its own individual frequency and vibration.
Lovely.
You can hit the perfect point. It's like hitting the perfect note in music.
Because it's all a vibration at the end of the day.
Vibration. The musical notes are connected to the senses. Like some people, like, is it Pharrell Williams? He sees colour for musical notes.
Really,
But then when you're guiding people through meditation, some people see colour for each center. So is he seeing the frequencies, colour, as well as hearing the note? What's it called? Synesthesia, is it?
I think so.
Where two senses do it's applied to two different things.
Yeah, lovely.
Interesting one.
Yeah, it's powerful stuff. Like, I'm really enjoying getting to know you more and more. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's an absolute massive eclectic mix of information within inside you, and you obviously embody this stuff. Do you know what I mean?
I love it.
You apply it yourself in your own experience. and you're teaching this stuff to other people for the benefit of their life and for the benefit of authenticity. And this is essential nowadays, you know, for our experience being human, and, you know, just having you here and talking, you know, about all these matters related. It's like being super, you know, nourishing for me today. You know what I mean? And
I've loved it as well.
Yeah, just I you know, wish you all the best. You know, moving into your endeavours, whatever they are. But it's about just being yourself in it and following your highest ecstasy, and you being yourself actually has a massive effect on other people's lives. You know what I mean? You know, and a lot of the time you're not even trying, are you? You know, you just.
I just want to crack on with work.
Yeah.
Yeah, because my main goal is increasing my consciousness as much as I can while I'm here.
Yeah, lovely.
That's it. That's the only goal.
Yeah.
And everything else follows.
Everything else follows, and you're having fun in the process as well, aren't you?
Yeah, it's so much fun.
You're surrounded by some beautiful people, and I've met Jackie. You know, she's your partner. She's a boss. You know, boss woman. And some boss people, and we'll meet more new people as well, aren't we? There's something great going on in Liverpool right now, and you know, there's definitely something collectively unfolding, and I'm excited for not just the near future, but, you know, looking on maybe 5-10 years ahead, and how, you know, our own vibration can have such an effect on something collectively. Do you know what I mean? And where we're just holding a space of neutrality, really. So, Kev, all the best, mate. Thanks for being here this morning. I'll see you again soon.
Thank you, Mark.
Good man.
Thank you.
Creating Space is sponsored by the Scouse Guru app, an all-purpose meditation app that feeds into all your needs, developing peace of mind, increasing mental focus, lowering stress levels while discovering inner stillness, awakening your potential and educating you on all matters related to human behaviour and personal development. Download the app for free on the App Store or get it on Google Play today.